statement. Meanwhile, President Buhari has presented the flag of the All Progressives Congress (APC) to Abiodun Oyebanji, the party's flag bearer in the forthcoming Ekiti elections scheduled for June 18. According to the president, Oyebanji had served Ekiti State in many capacities, including as Chief of Staff, Commissioner and Secretary to the state government, and being governor will just be continuity of service. On his part, Ekiti State Governor Fayemi said Oyebanji had been involved in governance in Ekiti in the past 20 years and has acquitted himself credibility. In the meantime, President Buhari within the week approved the appointment of Abdul Ganiyu Jaji as the new Controller General of the Federal Fire Service. The announcement was contained in a statement signed by Aisha Rafai, Secretary to the Civil Defense Immigration and Prison Service Board, CDIPB, in Abuja. Jaji, who was the Deputy Controller General, DCG, in charge of administration and supplies at the FFS before his appointment, is taken over from Acting Controller General Samson Karebo. According to the report, the newly appointed CJ commenced his career at the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing as Higher Technical Officer in 1991. Away from that, the federal government says the country is safe to host the first global conference on cultural tourism and creative industry scheduled for November 14th to 17th in Lagos. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said this when he featured on a phone-in program in Abuja. Mohammed said Nigeria was given the hosting rights for the maiden global event recently by the United Nations World Tourism Organization at a meeting at the organization headquarters in Spain. He said the insinuation in certain quarters that participants and tourists would not attend the conference because of stories of killings and kidnappings in the country were erroneous. Meanwhile, federal government has identified preferred and reserved bidders for the highways under the Highway Development and Management Initiative. The government explained that the decision followed the conclusion of the evaluation of the proposal submitted for Phase 1 of the value-added concession under the initiative. He explained that the initiative sought to attract sustainable investment and funding in the development of road infrastructure and maximize the use of assets along the right-of-way of federal highways across the country. In another development, federal government says the value of Nigeria's proven gas reserves now stands at about 206.5 trillion cubic feet, valued at over $803.4 trillion. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Temipre Silva, disclosed this at the 2022 annual public lecture of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Buari Branch, Abuja. Silva added that the country had the most extensive gas resource in Africa. He said the European Union had proposed categorizing natural gas as a green energy source to impact favorably on Nigeria due to the country's abundant natural gas reserves. Elsewhere, Nigeria Customs Service has officially reopened Camber border, which links the country to Republic of Niger along Kebbi corridor. This comes after the federal government had recently ordered the reopening of a border post in Idiroko, Ogun State, Jabia, Katsina State, Camber, Kebbi State, and Ikom, Cross River State, through a secular border service. The government had closed major borders as part of efforts to curb the spread of COVID-19 and curtail smuggling in order to boost local production of rice and other farm produce, while officially declaring the border open in Camber. The area controller of the customs in the state, Joseph Atta, expressed optimism that the border would open a new chapter for mutual economic ties between two countries. In politics, National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress (APC), Abdullahi Adamu, says the party does not regret pegging its presidential nomination form at 100 million naira. He made the remark while addressing State House correspondents after presenting the Ekiti APC governorship candidate Abiodun Oyebanji to President Muhammadu Buhari. The former lawmaker explained that the move was to ward off unserious contenders and raise sufficient funds ahead of the upcoming elections. The demo said the action was also to discourage parties that had no chance of winning elections from sponsoring individuals to play the role of spoilers. Aside from this, the APC leader also said the party had not yet taken a decision on the zoning of its presidential candidate for the 2023 election. On legislative matters, Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila has made a case for reforming the campaign finance laws. The Speaker also called for amendment of both the Constitution and Electoral Act as Nigerians prepare to vote in the 2023 general elections. He underscored the need to review the campaign laws of the country, especially in the area of finances for elections. Gbajabiamila said for effectiveness, such campaign finance reform legislation will impose a financial reporting mandate on candidates and campaigns and impose severe penalties on violators. He also emphasized the need for enlightenment in voter education and participation. Meanwhile, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, is advising political appointees seeking elective positions to resign, as the elections could be annulled if they refuse to do so. Gbajabiamila made the call while speaking to newsmen in London on sidelines of a paper he delivered at the Royal Institute of International Affairs. The Speaker insisted that the Electoral Act 2022, which stipulates that political appointees should resign before seeking political officers in the next election, should be obeyed. Away from that, former Lagos State Governor Bola Tinubu has picked the All Progressives Congress 100 million naira presidential nomination and expression of interest form. Tinubu, who is in Saudi Arabia for Hajj, was represented by some of his close associates, including House of Representatives member from Ikeja Federal Constituency, James Faleke, member representing Agege Federal Constituency in the Green Chamber, Babatunde Adejare, and the former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachir Lawal. It could be recalled that Tinubu had, in January, announced his desire to succeed the incumbent President Muhammadu Buhari in May 2023. Also, Ebonyi State Governor David Umahi has picked the nomination and expression of interest forms of the All Progressives Congress APC. The governor, who announced this in a post on his verified social media handles, displayed the receipt of 100 million naira form, which is for expression of interest and nomination. In a post, the governor said he will replicate the prudent management of the state's resources, which enabled him to transform Ebonyi at the national level if elected as the president. He joined the APC in November 2020 from the People's Democratic Party (PDP), on whose platform he won 2 governorship elections. In the meantime, former vice president and presidential candidate in the 2023 presidential race, Atiku Abubakar, has said the 11 million vote he garnered at the 2019 election qualifies him to be accorded the right of first refusal on the party's 2023 presidential ticket. This comes as the party has said there will be no preferential treatment for any of the 17 aspirants seeking the presidential ticket of the People's Democratic Party (PDP). Meanwhile, PDP National Chairman Dr. Iochia Ayu, who led the members of the party's National Working Committee to host Atiku, told the one-time vice president not to count on his friendship. In a separate development, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, has urged government at all levels to intensify efforts to check the operations of illegal refineries in the country. IPMAN's president, Chinedu Okoronkwo, made the call in an interview with newsmen in Lagos. Okoronkwo said the recent explosion at one of the illegal refiners at Abezi Forest in Ohaji, Gbajabiamila government area of Imo, had again brought to the forefront the dangers of engaging in such nefarious activities. He added that Nigeria was losing billions of naira to crude oil thieves, which was affecting the nation's economy negatively. Away from that, the Department of State Services DSS says it is not recruiting public relations officer. VSS National Headquarters, Peter Afnaya, who made this known in a statement, urged the public to be wary of fraudsters. Afnaya also reiterated that the department does not recruit online, sell job application forms, or demand money from prospective employees. Still on security matters, Taraba State Police Command has redeployed about 4,000 operatives to ensure the forthcoming Salah celebrations is hitch-free. The development follows recent terrorist threats of targeting soft spots in some parts of the country. Updating journalists on the security situation of the state, the police commissioner Abimbola Sokoya said they were already deploying their men and that they were going to deploy over 4,000 police officers and men. He solicited the cooperation and synergy of the people of the state, assuring them that the force was going to rejig the security architecture. Meanwhile, the Sultan of Sokoto and President General of the Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs and CIA, Mohammed Saad Abubakar, has declared Monday, May 2nd and the first day of Shawwal 1443 AH of Nigeria, day of Eid al-Fitr. The Sultan made the declaration in a statement signed by Professor Sambo Janaidu, the Chairman, Advisory Committee on Religious Affairs, Sultanate Council, Sokoto. He felicitated with Nigerian Muslims and wished them God's guidance and blessings. The Sultan also urged Muslims to continue to pray for peace, progress, and development of the country, and wished all Nigerians happy Eid al-Fitr. In another development, the People's Democratic Party's PDP's Presidential Screening Committee has disqualified two of its aspirants. Chairman of the committee, Senator David Mark, announced this after the committee concluded its screening of the party's 17 aspirants, Mark, who did not disclose the identity of the disqualified candidates, said they did not meet up with the requirements for the position they were contesting for. Meanwhile, the disqualified candidates are reportedly expected to forfeit the 40 million naira each of them paid for the expression of interest and nomination forms. The screening, according to one of the aspirants, Senator Aim Pius Aim, was designed to verify the candidate's membership and financial status, academic credentials, and other requirements for a presidential candidate as spelled out in the Constitution. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party (PDP) has screened its governorship aspirants for the state in the South-South region of the country. Governor Duyo Diri of Bayelsa State, who is the chairman of the screening committee, conducted the exercise along other members of the team at the PDP zonal office in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. In his opening speech, Governor Diri assured the aspirants that the committee would be transparent in its dealings and fair to all of them. Aspirants from 4 of the 6 states in the region comprising Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Delta, and Rivers had reportedly stormed the party's secretariat for the exercise. Those from Bayelsa and Edo State were left out as the duo were on the off-season election schedule of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Back here, the Akwa Ibom state government said it had resolved the communal crisis that erupted on Tuesday, April 19, 2022, between the Ilaje Yoruba settlers and the indigents of Ibna local government area. This was contained in a statement by the press secretary to the deputy governor of the state, Ekikere Umor. According to the statement, The development was announced by the Deputy Governor Moses Ekpo in Uyo after meeting with the chairman of the Ibuna local government area, High Chief William Mpa, the representatives of the paramount ruler of Ibuna Okuryang Iyang, the village heads of the three villages and leaders of Ibuna alongside the Ilaje fishermen. According to the reports, the two villages have agreed to bury their differences. Meanwhile, the government had commenced the distribution of relief materials to those affected in the crisis. In the meantime, Township Drivers Association, a Gbajabiamila state chapter, has appealed to the state government to fix the road leading to Taft Media Group operational station in Ibiakuran. The drivers met the plea during their visit to Taft Media Group. Coordinator of the group, Prince Asukwa Udobong, who said a courtesy visit was to honor the station with an excellence award, lamented the poor state of the road leading to the first indigenous radio and private television in the state. He said opening up Access Road will not only draw business to the station, but impact on the economy of the people of the area. A correspondent has the rest of the story.
Taft Media Operation Station, as the Township Drivers Association, a Gbajabiamila state chapter, honored and appreciated Taft Media Group, operators of Spectrum Television and Planet 101.1 FM Uyo for supporting the union over the years and always making sure their voice was heard. Presenting the Award of Excellence to the foremost media group in the state, the president of the union, Comrade Charles Ekpo, had this to say.
I want to thank the management of Planet FM for their supportive roles on the area of transportation as Township Drivers Association. On behalf of Township Drivers Association of Edo State, we are here to present the award to Planet FM for their excellent works. Thank you.
Also speaking at the occasion, the coordinator of the union, Prince Asukwa Udobong, commended Governor Udom Emmanuel for also supporting the union while appealing to him to fix the road leading to Taft Media Operational Station.
The road to Planet FM is bad. What I mean is bad is bad. So please, His Excellency should do something about the road to Planet FM.
Responding, the General Manager, Mr. Sunday Edet, while receiving the award on behalf of the chairman of Taft Media Group, Mr. Tony Afia, thanks the union for the honor.
For finding us worthy for this award. I must say a very big thank you to you. So please, whenever you need us to come be by you to get stuff done. Please don't hesitate to.
The highlight of the event was the birthday song rendered to the chairman of Taft Media Group, Mr. Tony Afia, to commemorate his birthday.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Edidiong Martin for Spectrum Television. It was a joyous day.
On a sad note, a fire broke out at a filling station opposite UBA Bank along Waniba Road in Uyo last Friday night. Reports say the incident occurred as a fully loaded fuel tanker was trying to offload the fuel into the station. Meanwhile, there have been no report of any casualties so far, but some stories and residential buildings around the area were affected by the fire.
On a sad note, a fire broke out at a filling station opposite UBA Bank along Waniba Road in Uyo yesterday. Reports say the incident occurred as a fully loaded fuel tanker was trying to offload the fuel into the station. Meanwhile, there have been no report of any casualties so far, but some stores and residential buildings around the area were affected by the fire.
Still to come in the news, IMF condemns usage of Bitcoin by countries. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. Away from that, Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) has threatened to embark on 3 days nationwide warning strike if the federal government continues to ignore the demands of the Academic Staff Union of Universities (ASU), stressing that it will hold a national protest within the 21-day ultimatum issued to the federal government. NLC President Ayuba Waba stated these in a pre-Merit Day rally in Abuja. Recall that ASU and the 3 universities-based unions, Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions (NASU), Senior Staff Association of Nigeria Universities, and National Association of Academic Technologists (NAT), will end their strike on May 5th. To the judiciary now, where a federal high court in Abuja has granted the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA's) application to review facts of the 2 defendants who pleaded guilty in the ongoing trial of suspended DCP Abakari and others on alleged cocaine deal. Justice Emeka Nwite, in a ruling, dismissed the objection raised by counsel for Kyari and other co-defendant officers that granting the request might jeopardize their case. Delivering the ruling, the judge agreed with the NDLEA and counsel for Omebe and Ezewane that the objectors had not given sufficient evidence why they would be prejudiced if the court granted the request. He held that the objection lacked merit and ordered the NDLEA to begin the review of facts of the 6th and 7th defendants' case. In the meantime, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) in Enugu State has urged parents to closely monitor the activities of their children to curb illicit drug abuse in the society. The NDLEA's Assistant State Commander, Drug Demand Reduction Department, Ajan Ayuche, stated these in Enugu City. Ayuche, who lamented the alarming state at which children were using drugs, attributed the trend to the absence of parental care and attention to the daily lifestyle of their children. In Africa, a rebel commander, Gibril Massakour, has been acquitted of rape, ritual murder, and the recruitment of child soldiers during Liberia's civil war. A court in Finland said there was not enough proof to convict Massakour. The 52-year-old is from Sierra Leone and was a senior member of the notorious rebel group, the Revolutionary United Front, that fought in neighboring Liberia from 1999 to 2003. Reports say he was relocated to Finland as part of a witness protection program, which provided immunity for crimes committed in Sierra Leone but not Liberia. Still in Africa, African Development Bank (AFDB) says the continent is currently facing an infrastructure financing gap of between $68 billion to $108 billion annually. The president of the AFDB Group, Akinwumi Adesina, said this when the Secretary of the United States Treasury, Janet Yellen, hosted G7 ministers and heads of multilateral development banks. Adesina said this was in spite of collective efforts to close the margin. He said the bank, which was the premier financier of infrastructure in Africa, had committed more than $44 billion to infrastructure across the continent in the last 6 years. Elsewhere, mosques and churches have been set ablaze by mobs in multiple places in northern and southern Ethiopia. Violence erupted after at least 20 Muslims were reportedly killed and hundreds more injured while attending a funeral at a local religious figure in Gondar city in Amhara region. The head of the administrative body of the Orthodox Church in Silt confirmed that 3 churches were also burnt down in southern Ethiopia in what appears to be retaliatory attack for the earlier violence. In Burundi, 50 years of form a wave of ethnic massacres, survivors are asking the government to do more to confront the legacy of the violence. Up to 300,000 people reportedly died in mass killings, which began on April 29, 1972. Reports said the violence was rooted in long-standing tensions between Hutu and Tutsi, Hutu ethnic groups who lived in Burundi and neighboring Rwanda. The worst outbreak of violence between the two groups is said to be the 1994 Rwandan genocide, which left around 800,000 Tutsis dead over the course of 100 days. Still in Africa, Somalia's parliament have elected a veteran politician as Speaker of the lower house, as the fragile nation ages closer to holding a delayed presidential vote. Following the election of the upper house speaker, lawmakers in the lower house chose Sheikh Adan Mohammed as speaker in a process that extended into 2 rounds of voting. According to the reports, the vote took place in a tent inside Mogadishu's heavily guarded airport complex under tight security, following a spate of attacks in recent weeks by al-Shabaab jihadists who have been waging an insurgency against the government for over a decade.